the Dark Angel Word 57, and welcome back to the Beginner's Guide. Slowly been traversing some games by a developer named Coda, getting some insight from his friend a little bit. Today I learned that you cannot fall off. Yeah, I tried. I wanted to jump down and skip this. Ooh. Pretty. Who are all of you? Stop pretending you're other people. Doesn't mean anything. Who are all of you? See, this section speaks to me as someone trying to figure out who they are. Not necessarily, the narrator said something about, learning about the voices in this person's head. I think this is more about the developer experimenting and learning about himself. These are all different
At the end of this level, we're going to see the puzzle again.
They are all
and here,
parts of him.
I'll tell you what I think the puzzle means. Each of these games represents an idea that was on Coda's mind at the time that he was making it. And the puzzle is a way of closing the door on a previous chapter of his life before moving on to the next one. In each of his games, after exploring a theme that, he might find difficult, Coda can then place this puzzle that he knows has a reliable solution, he understands exactly how it works, and so it gives him a simple mechanism for moving on. And because there's this dark area between the doors, a space between spaces, before you move on, you get to pause. Just for a moment, a few seconds to reflect on and let go of the events that led you here. To step back and connect the pieces together. To grasp at that elusive bigger picture.
What is that? Interesting. I'm speaking. Hello. See, and this right here could be him trying to break out of social awkwardness. He wants to be social, but
okay, this one is
he doesn't
tough.
have the strength.
It's gonna kind of just spin its own wheels for a few minutes. Hang with it.
Okay. I like the... oh.
See, this is it. The whole game. And there's nothing that's particularly interesting about it. You just walk to the end of a hallway. Except, for some reason, Coda gets really fixated on this prison that has all of this modern furniture. And I don't know why, but he decides he needs to revisit this prison. He's gonna start over, use the same assets, turn it into something else. Okay, cool. Here's version 2.
Where everything's removed. A giant hole in the ground. Oh. Let's put a huge picture of a horse. Corner. Pretty sure none of the choices are making any difference. Whoa.
There's a bit more to this one, but still, it's not really communicating anything. It's kind of just weird for weirdness' sake.
But you never know, that could be entirely possible in at least one of these scenarios.
He throws it out and starts over. This time he comes at the prison idea from a different direction.
Guide holder to escape any prison environment. Follow the instructions carefully. First, click on this table. Go to the photo frame and click to turn it slightly. Turn the lamp off and then back on. In a real prison, the escape will not open. Return to the start to be taken back to your prison. And the developer seems to feel like he's stuck inside himself, like he's in his own prison.
And of course, now the table is gone and you can't begin the chain of events to escape.
This table, though.
Here's a version where there are no bars, but you can't actually get to the well. And then a version where the inside of the prison is the outside and the outside is the inside. Let me just blink you real quick through a few more of these. I mean, he really unloaded on this prison idea. There's nearly a dozen. Personally, I think it's awful to watch this, to see a person basically unraveling through their work. And for what? Like, at what point do you just go, maybe there are game ideas other than this prison that I could be working on? But Coda doesn't have that voice telling you to stop, that particular mechanism of defense against yourself. Without it, you just spiral. And so he keeps going and going and going and going and going, and then he hits on something. And he likes it. And that's it. He's done. He stops making prisons. This is the very last version of the prison game that he created. And the reason I think it works is that the prison is not actually in it.
Okay. Yeah, this is doing really good on, like, creepy ambiance. Hello? Who is this? Help me escape from the prison. Your name? So you were trapped in this prison too.
It's a conversation. And so this is what Coda wants, is to be able to talk to someone, to share what's on his mind, and to get some good advice from someone who knows.
I like that
But the irony is
interpretation.
that even in this scenario, you're still talking to yourself. You know, all of these games so far are Coda talking to himself.
Well, yeah. That's fairly normal when trying to create something. Just talk it out for a bit. Just talk to me. I'll be here as long as you need. Longing for someone
I
or
can see why he
something to be
considers
there
this a
for him.
fitting conclusion to the prison games. After all of the obsession and frustration, just to be told by someone you can trust that things are going to be okay Wouldn't that be nice? So what would it look like if Coda wanted to make a game about talking to someone other than himself?
I still wish I could sprint. Come
To
on,
me,
Coda,
this
sprint.
environment is meant to represent Coda's puzzle, with the two doors on either side and a dark transitional space between.
Glad as heck you showed up. I thought I might have to clean this entire house by myself.
You'll notice that the quality of the art is a step up from previous games, including this new and improved chat system, which he started using from this point on. From here on out, he begins putting much more effort into the visual polish of his work, and this particular game took 2 months to create as a result.
Run to the bedroom, make the bed. Housekeeping is a terrible job. The couch. Make it especially cheesy. No. Oh, come on. And why am I doing all your work? And there's some papers on the desk.
After the intense set of prison games, this house cleaning level almost feels like cleansing. It's the moment after a particularly difficult or traumatic experience where you just need to let it sit and digest inside of you, and eventually cohere into something meaningful. I know that Coda really liked this game. Of all of his work, actually, this was the only one that he called me up to ask me to come over and look at it. This was during a period of a few
Kinda
months where he was
relaxing.
like grossly happy all the time, just walked around with a constant smile on his face.
You take care of it, and it takes care of you. Mm-hmm. There's a bit of trick to it, no? And once you... this is entirely true. Like, this is a very good example of real life. No
I'm
matter
glad he made
what
this.
you
I'm
do,
glad he found some peace.
the house always needs to be cleaned up.
But, of course, it can't last. The music stops, your companion is gone, it's time to leave.
I
The
didn't
door
get
at
to
the top
answer
of the
my
hill is now
question.
open as well. Again, you can't stay in the dark space for too long. You just can't. You have to keep moving. It's how you stay alive.
Oh really? What if I stay in this dark space then? Alright, I don't want to sit here. there's the slam.
Which is the whole point of the puzzle doors, right? That sooner or later you have to pick up and move. I really thought that was the point of it.
Floating tree.
This one gets a bit goofy.
No. You came here to be perfect. Perfect at what? Whoa. Now, my question is this actually a conglomeration of a person who is being represented by Coda? Is this actually a conglomeration of their games, or is this all in a whole been fabricated as one single game?
About halfway through the game, the perspective shifts.
Whoa.
And you play as the teacher. And suddenly, you discover that your teacher is just as bigoted and afraid as you are. Oh, and also you can move around the classroom now.
You want to come do some ecstasy after this?
I felt pretty hard for this one. I feel like it's one of the most relatable experiences that you can have. To assume that some other person is perfect and totally fulfilled in every way, and completely miss all of the little flaws that make them painfully human.
Mm-hmm.
I think about this game
I
a lot.
do
these
like
days.
that one. It is a very interesting concept, especially if you make that into something larger.
This one took a lot longer than all the others for Coda to make. It was 4 months between this and the last one. That's twice as long as it took him to make any other game before this, and it's not like it's particularly complex, so I remember I found that a little strange at the time.
That last one would make a very interesting concept for a game that, say, you play as a character and you're only able to perceive another character or characters from one specific point of view. But then after you complete that character's point of view, then you go through as the other character or another character and see something completely different. I would love to see that as a game. Let me out. I'm getting flashbacks of Tomb Raider all of a sudden. In this scene, you will be playing as me. You're at a gathering of professionals. First, you start out leaning against the wall. I'm gonna lean against this side of the wall. Alright. I kinda wanna progress the story, so bloop. I don't wanna stay here. Happy. Hello. Hello. That's it? It's not a conversation. No, but it's how you start one with a new one, with a new person. Do it again. I like you. No, 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 that's not what I said to her at all. You're completely missing the tone of the conversation. I was reserved, but I knew what I wanted. I was confident. For some reason, it was just that one moment, but I was confident. Maybe it's that you need a better feel for the setting. There were a lot of people around us. I'll give you some props to work with. These cones that bounce around when you touch them will represent the people nearby. Woo! This is fun. So what are some of the sacrifices you've had to make? You're messing it all up again. You'll freak her out if the conversation gets that personal that quickly. Well, that's why I started off with hello! Everything was riding on this. Do you not realize how important this was for me? I'll never get another opportunity like this again. I want to try something. Try stepping back from the stage. Him fighting with himself, trying to figure out what to say to a person. You only get one chance to make that first impression, so this is just him going through all the different things in his head. Oh, so that's not the end goal this time. I'm always worried I did something wrong. Because I failed at talking to her, I'm locking myself up. This is what it was
The game
like.
ends with this eerie premonition of what's going to happen next in Coda's life. The solution to social anxiety, to fears of having to perform and having to chase success, the
Is to
answer
lock
for
yourself
Coda
away.
is to withdraw, to hide himself away. Which is what leads to scenarios like the stairs that slowed you down several games ago, where it just becomes harder and harder to access Coda's inner landscape because he keeps retreating. He just keeps backing away from possible connections to anyone other than himself. And to be honest, I didn't consider it very healthy when I first played this. You know, it looked to me like he was trying to justify the idea of just disconnecting yourself from the world. And that wasn't what I wanted for him or for his games. Because I feel like a lot of his games are inviting me to connect with his person, to bring him closer. But what can you do? After this, Coda went off and took another 5 months to make a new game.
You must keep your eyes closed. I'm trying to listen for cues. I don't hear anything. Alright, let's do it. Whoa! Help, I'm blind.
You should probably open your eyes if you haven't already.
There we
It's
go.
pretty much impossible to solve otherwise. And there is a solution, by the way.
Where's the switch? Where's the... You are the... Oh, it does on the one side. I gotta get up there. Now, is this going to keep repeating, or are you going to interject? Please don't let this be forever. There's doors. I found doors. the truth is to speak something that is honest. I can't keep making these.
Like I said, I
It's
was getting
draining.
concerned. First off, he's never been this explicit in his work about exactly what he's thinking. So, where's that coming from? But then, even weirder, his work has potentially
it was
stopped
going to
being
be
an outlet
easy.
for him. Not like he's having trouble iterating on ideas, but he literally just can't think of new ideas anymore. And in person, he was being a lot more distant than usual.
I'm
Like,
stuck in it.
you know how sometimes a person will just deflect anything that you say in order to keep themselves disconnected all the time? It was that kind of thing. Here was the point in my relationship with Coda where I really started to wonder if he needed my help in some way. His games are going to get more desperate from here on out. After this game, it's almost 6 months before he finishes something new.
Okay, well, I've got a break in narrative. I'm going to call the episode here. We're starting to get... Oh, sorry. We're starting to get some better ideas into the mind of Coda. And I'm really interested to see how this is turning out. How this will turn out. So I hope you're enjoying this. If you are, give me a thumbs up, give me some comments, let me know how I'm doing. I'll see you all in the next episode. Until then, bye-bye.